Hello future, and welcome back to the Some Minecraft Let's Play. Today we'll be picking up where we left off in Minecraft 1.8. I'm your host Casey Fly. Let's play some Minecraft. So on our last complete episode, we built a farmstead. We built a barn and we built animal pens, and we did all of this for the sole purpose of acquiring wool, of all things. But we've got all of our pens set up and we've got the animals going, so that'll be a nice thing to have ready for us whenever we need any byproduct. And then also before this, you guys should have seen a bonus episode this past week where we jumped out of Minecraft and into Paint to work on the outline of the Birch Town. And that was necessary because today, in pursuit of our main goal, which is still putting an enchanting setup in the basement and redecorating our house a little bit, we are going to be starting a strip mine. We talked about where we wanted the strip mine roughly located in the outlining episode, and it's going to be somewhere over here, right, is where we decided. Somewhere over in this area. So, let me figure out exactly where we're going to place that, and I'll be right back. So I think we're going to have the mine shaft, or the entrance to the strip mines, basically right out of this hill here. And it's a little, it's tiny. So it's not that big of a hill, but it also has some terrain generation behind it that we may keep. We may end up connecting this as a waterway, and it wouldn't affect too much, but I might end up placing some more dirt and stuff to build this up. One of the things we will need as we continue terraforming this a little bit and making it, more Cave of Wonders-esque, is we're going to grab some... We're going to grab some cobblestone, just a bit, to be able to build up underneath and kind of provide some sense of structure to this design. So, this is me from the future. Fly from the future here. I just wanted to take this opportunity while me in the past is working on things to talk about a couple of Marvel things. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was the upcoming movie, Deadpool vs. Wolverine. Well, no. Deadpool and Wolverine. There may or may not be versus. I think it's Deadpool and Wolverine. Wow, the world is excited for this movie. First and foremost, because while it was under Fox, Ryan Reynolds really led an independent charge, probably being told no to a lot of things, trying to work with the executives there to come up with some awesome storylines. I've heard recently that Deadpool 3 has been pulled, and that Deadpool and Wolverine is its replacement. Sort of a Deadpool 3, but that this may not actually be the third movie. Like the third in the franchise of Deadpool. That we might get a Deadpool 3 later. Now, I don't know to what extent this is just, people trying to write clickbait articles and stuff like this. It could be a claim that, now that the title is officially out, it's officially Deadpool and Wolverine. People are just making assumptions and then coming up with dramatic headlines, twists and takes to have. If that were the case, that would be awesome, right? I think we could all agree that would be awesome. That we still have a Deadpool 3 to look forward to, maybe one that takes place in the MCU, but this sort of transitional movie for Deadpool is maybe doing a lot of the heavy lifting for bringing it into our universe and somehow it not creating Nexus? Not Nexus points. Is it Nexus points? I think so. A Nexus point is when you diverge from your what should be your timeline, from what should be your order of events. I don't know that the TVA is even doing that anymore, so I don't even know if that's still a thing. But Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness did teach us that this kind of leads into incursions, right? When two universes collide and one or both will be destroyed entirely. So maybe Deadpool is going to be the spark that kind of leads to the destruction of our universe as we know it and the formation of a new one. All right, so I did quite a bit of terraforming here, taking out a massive chunk of this layer that we've been jumping up on top of, that we had our animal pens built around. And the reason why I did that, and the reason why I'm really digging into this project, is because we discussed in our bonus episode how we want this land that's the part that's occupied by humans. We want to feel very much like humans have touched it, right? And I think when it comes to, like, you know, we were calling it the rich district, but the elven kind of district, that plans on being more of like one with nature-esque, following the land rather than carving into it, that kind of thing. And the human parts where all the hard labor is happening, it's going to be more like this. We're going to be carving into the land. We're going to be feeling our changes to it. We're going to be making it bend to us. It's going to be very, I don't know, just very affected. And so very straight and hard lines kind of working with, and that's what we've got here. Like this, maybe? Do that? Yeah? And boom. We might carve this out and texture this up, but this will be the entrance to our mine shaft, or well, it'll lead down to our strip mine. So another thing that I wanted to talk about, hi again, fly from the future here, is Daredevil and canonicity. I love the fact that the Defenders shows have been officially added to the MCU canon. I don't know that I'm as big a fan of how that happened, because it was a borderline toxic, not toxic, but it was really important to a lot of people. And there were a lot of arguments and debates being had about it constantly. And I thought that the creators of the shows and Marvel head studio executives, I thought that they were aware of that. But behind closed doors, I guess they had always kind of treated them like they were in the same universe. But Feige has been asked directly, and he's never come out and just said it. And that makes sense. You want to cover all your bases and not step on your toes in case decisions down the road are different from what's being said. So I get that. But at the moment that they had decided that, you know, which was around the time that they started shooting or conceptualizing Daredevil Born Again, at that time, I think there should have been some backroom discussions where it was like, okay, this is huge news. This is going to be so big and so pivotal and so important and moving to a lot of people who care about all these shows. How should we roll out announcing it? Not just that we're bringing the Defenders shows and putting them on Disney Plus, like Disney Plus has a lot of content that isn't canon to the MCU timeline, but specifically that we are retroactively sort of integrating them once again into the official timeline. And man, that announcement could have been humongous news, and instead it just seems like it was dropped in an interview and then added the next day, and everyone's just kind of rolling with it. You know, an interesting thing about mine shafts and strip mines is that once you go underground, you really begin to lose track of, like, the time of day. There's no nighttime down here. You just keep working. I wish that there had been a little more pomp and frill and circumstance to it. That its announcement could have been... It could have been major news. Like, I just think this is just one of those times where Marvel just kind of missed the beat on something, and it doesn't matter, because now we're here, and we can't change the past. We can only move forward, but I hope that Marvel is... Like, there's a similar debate out there with regards to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., whether or not it's canon, and whether or not it fits within the multiverse and the timeline of it all, and all of this stuff. That debate is still raging, you know, and the inclusion of the Defenders into the MCU timeline, canon, like official, really has only seemed to spark both sides of that debate with regards to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into being way more verbal about... Like, there just seems to be, like, reinvigorated aggression. And so, if Marvel does ever get to the point of announcing that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon, and figuring out where those fit, you know, in the timeline. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has a crazy timeline, by the way, so they definitely get out of canon MCU. Probably. That really depends on the MCU at this point, with Miss Marvel and Endgame and these kinds of things. They've really pushed the boundaries, if you will, of like how the multiverse, how time travel works, from actively picking one direction of time travel, like the kind that the Hulk describes, to coming up with what happens to the timelines that you know shouldn't happen with Loki, to time travel that's supposed to happen with everything the Avengers do in Endgame, to, you know, Miss Marvel and it was always part of time, so the fact that we then do the thing only creates what we had already experienced, so it's kind of a loop in that regard. They've done a pretty interesting job of saying, hey, we're gonna do all of it. We're not gonna be bound to any one thing. So that's interesting. But if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does become canonized, in the same way that I wanted Daredevil and the Defenders to have kind of more of an announcement, kind of more of a party, more of a big deal made about it, I hope that there will be a big deal made about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what I hope. That's something I hope. Okay, so I don't know if it's ever going to come up or be relevant because of the kind of strip mine that we are building here, but we enter this this shaft, right? This passageway. We enter by facing north. And so ultimately, when we get to the bottom, I want us to be facing this, like, the opposite way, right? I want us to be facing south. So these sections of staircases are different lengths, and they're getting shorter and shorter and shorter progressively. The idea is that by the time we get down to layer 11, which this is a layer 11 strip mine, I want us to be facing south. Right? I want the staircase to descend, right, facing south. Because everything north of us, right, is running into the next quadrant of the world, and I don't really want to be mining out in that direction. I kind of want to keep our strip mine running that way. And as far as like extending it outwards, we can extend it outwards that way quite a bit, and we can extend it out that way infinitely. But I want to keep it facing that way. So that's kind of the plan. There are different kinds of strip mines, right? There are strip mines that are like layer 11 strip mines, and sometimes those just have like drop chutes, right? Shafts through the earth where Minecrafters just jump in the shaft and it takes them all the way down. Later, in the future, in your past, my future, we will be getting water column elevators and things like that, and we'll have some things to make use of. But in this Birch town, my starter town, I want it to have a sense of feeling rudimentary and necessary. It is going to be most efficient and I know this doesn't seem like efficient, but like the technology that this town is capable of having is going to be rather rudimentary, rather old school. So they're going to have this whole thing coming down here. We will eventually get mine carts put in here, and that'll help out tremendously. But we're gonna avoid the quick drop shoots of the future, you know, that will speckle the future of our builds and stuff. We may end up at a certain point collapsing the entryway and on both sides of this passage, and then installing a drop chute. But honestly, I think by the time we get to that point of mining, we may be beyond the scope of this town. But we'll see. Oh boy. We just found a cave. Okay. So this may affect our strip mining plans a tad bit. I think for the most part, I'm actually going to try to avoid this cave. Just don't quite feel ready for it yet. It's not really what we're doing here, you know? So it's unfortunate that we come out right here. Or maybe it's fortunate. Maybe this lava will be really good for smelting cobblestone. We'll see. It does mean we have a lot of work to do before the strip mine begins to look relatively normal. We might be able to speed that process up a bit by going this way. Okay, so we'll throw a workbench down here with some more chests for throwing some resources. Right, a lot of this stuff. If I do that, I'm gonna throw this in here. Keep a hold of this. Throw that in there. Although we will need to make sure to take that back up because it doesn't belong down here. We need to light it up a little bit. There we go. Maybe we'll throw one right there. This right here will be the beginning of our strip mine, and we are going to be strip mining in the south direction until we get enough resources or until we run across a mine shaft. In this mine shaft, they are going to favor extreme frugality over maximum efficiency. In the future, when we have the ability to crouch through one block holes, you know, we might make some mine shafts for some cultures that operate a little bit differently, and hopefully the style of the town will reflect that. But for here, we are going to you know, skip 3 blocks and then have the next strip mine set up. The idea being that if you're in this column, you can see both of these blocks, this block and that one. If you're in this column, you can see both of these blocks, that block and this one. This is the area where diamonds are most likely to spawn, and it's unlikely, not impossible, but... Whoa, that was a sight. It's unlikely that they will spawn in a 1 by pattern. They might spawn like this and then we wouldn't see them, or up here and we wouldn't see them, down here and we wouldn't see them. But if they're here, it's likely, it is more than likely that they will stick out on this side or this side a little bit, and we will be able to see that. It's likely. We'll probably miss a few, but we'll get most of them. And then mining in this format for me, I really just zone out. Sometimes I decorate the we're gonna deal with that real quick. Okay, that's a little terrifying. At least we got that section off. Sometimes I do decorate the entryways a little bit, usually throwing down iron doors with buttons, and once we get into the redstone lamps, you know, making use of levers and you know, and redstone lamps to notify us when there's decent treasure down there that we haven't gotten yet. Decent loot, decent ores to be mined. But for sake of just simplicity and efficiency, really, we're just gonna throw down a torch starting the second block in. I lied. Starting the third block in. And then every 11 deep, we place another one. So there will be 10, roughly 10 blocks, 10, I guess it'd be 20 if you're counting 2, but it'd be 10 deep. So this is 1, 2, 10, and on the 11th block I throw down another torch. And I'm pretty sure that means that the light level of the blocks, yeah, never get below 8. These two right here are 8, and 7 is when mobs, at least back in Minecraft 1.8, light level 7 is when mobs would start spawning. I'm gonna throw down that there too, so they can't get over the top. Yeah, so we will be continuing this pattern on for a while, and hopefully I come across some coal. I have some if I need it, so that I can make more torches. And I'll let you guys know when I see something interesting. And the final thing that I wanted to talk about in this episode relating to Marvel, hello again, live from the future, is the maturity of content. So Marvel's The Eternals is near, if not the bottom of my Marvel movie rankings, personally. It's a testament to how much this point matters to me, that it fell so far, because the reason why, like, Eternals has all of the makings of being my favorite Marvel movie. Like, really high up there. But then they decided to include a sex scene between Icarus and Cersei. Or should I say Cersei and Icarus, because Cersei is kind of the lead most character of the movie. In a very, what I think is a very good way of communicating the intensity of the relationship that they had, because the movie starts off by showing a relationship between Cersei and Dane Whitman, who will go on to become the Black Knight. You're already rooting for them, but there's this history, because of how long eternal lifespans are, that there's this history with this other Eternal, Icarus. Cersei and Icarus had been married, and they have this wonderful montage of their of Cersei and Icarus's romantic involvement, culminating in them getting married. Like, it's very passionate, it's very moving, but then the people making the show decided to include a sex scene on the beach where there's like, it's gratuitous, right? Like, so it's pretty much solely because of that this movie fell so far in my eyes. Why it went from near the top, almost all, like, it's often the very bottom of my list. And people that I talk to are like, well, why do you have a problem with Eternals doing that, but then you also love Deadpool? Right, because if you've seen the Deadpool movies, there's considerably more. Like, Eternals goes beyond what Iron Man does, what Tony Stark does in the first Iron Man movie with the reporter. It films in the actual act. So it definitely goes beyond Iron Man, but it doesn't come anywhere near what Wade Wilson does in the first Deadpool movie. And so I don't know if people think that that's hypocritical of me to have this view, but the reason why I'm okay with that with Deadpool is because Deadpool is not marketed, right, as a family-friendly movie, right? Deadpool is not marketed for parents to bring their children to. Like, to have a scope of what I mean by this, there was a recent thing that happened with Zendaya from Spider-Man, from the Spider-Man movies. There's a panel going on for, I want to say, the show Euphoria, which, from what I hear, is also a very explicit TV show, very mature audiences intention TV show, streaming show, I guess. And there was a little girl who loved Zendaya, I think from the Spider-Man movies. There's a little girl who's present, and she asks the question, like, was it stressful or something for you to go from doing that to doing this? And Zendaya kind of has a bit of a panic attack in this reel or whatever, this clip that's going around, because why is this little girl in here, right? Her parents are responsible, right? She says those kinds of things, and nobody bats an eye at the situation. Most people are like chuckling at it a little bit, but that's the attitude that I have towards Deadpool. Like, it's intended for mature audiences. The Eternals was pitched, it was rated for PG, I think it was PG-13, right? Family friendly. You can take your kids to this. And I have a problem with that. It feels predatorial for you to market your movie for, PG-13, and then to just show that there. Deadpool, at least, like, rated R, right? Like, they respect the people who will come see movies because of the ratings that a movie has, and there's conversations to be had about this, like, well, parents should scope out movies before bringing kids to them. True in general, right? But then you have parents developing a trust in a company that has a reputation for behaving a certain way, and that's something that Marvel had. Marvel wasn't going to cross the line And if a project like Deadpool was going to cross the line, it would be appropriately rated. And then this movie comes out of nowhere and breaks that trust, breaking that reputation. Like, yes, parents, and I think this definitely taught me, I'm absolutely never going to trust any company making movies. I'm always going to double check and make sure that it's appropriate for my kids when I have them. But man, the fact that you thought you could trust them, right? And the lack of, like, the fact that trust has been broken is indicative of how bad a decision this was. Like, that shouldn't be the case. So, I like Deadpool and all the raunchiness that gets up to because that's not intended for children. But you're going to come out and you're going to make this movie that might be pivotal, might be required watching for the MCU, and then you're also going to throw that in it. You're going to go that far, you're going to cross that line. I have a problem with that. An argument that had been made online was, because I was sharing this, my perspective on this, like, this is the issue I have with it, and somebody was trying to counter me saying, you know, the MCU is, like, the audience is growing up, so it's time for the content to grow up. If that's how you want to take it, I don't have a problem with that at all. Rate it appropriately, right? Because PG-13 does not mean the audience that you had 10 years ago is now 23, right? PG-13 means not based on 10 years ago plus time, right now 13, right? Right now PG-13. It's a simple thing to do. Rate your movie appropriately or keep that stuff out of it. It bothers me a lot, you know, just, and it's like, it's not even in there for very long. But it's enough to bring it down, because it's like, if you're gonna have that, just rate it appropriately, right? If you want the material to grow up, I'm all for that. I like Deadpool. Rate it appropriately. That's all I'm saying. All right, guys. So we have just found another interesting cave. We're gonna explore Wait, is that? Do you guys see that over there? Okay, it could just be gravel. Like, honestly. Could just be gravel and nothing more, but looks promising. Oh, it looks like it might just be gravel. Oh, it's just gravel. Okay, yeah. So basically we are going to explore this cave a little bit and see if we can find, hello. Whoops, well, that guy's gone. See if we can find a mine shaft, right? So let's pick a direction, start closing off some of this. Which this, while being a lava lake and being nice, not a mine shaft. So, I know that generally, it's considered like incredibly wasteful to just block off lava like this instead of building over it. But you guys know the future. You know that eventually lava becomes a renewable resource. And so while I'm going to treasure, you know, spots like this, locations like this, where I can come and I can get lava for things, right now, it's not... The resources are more precious to me right now than the lava is. And the lava will eventually be renewable, and resources, generally speaking, not so renewable. I know that you can... trees are renewable and you can make charcoal. I know that iron farms exist. We actually have on our project board to build one of those eventually. Gold farms exist, so yes and no. You know, emeralds become moderately renewable with the set of villager trading. And that means that diamond armor becomes moderately renewable. So, you know, redstone from witch farms. So yeah, like, I get it. Like, they're all kind of renewable, but like, in terms of right now, these resources and what we can do with them in the immediate future, more useful than what we can do with lava in the immediate future. That's just the way it is. Alright, guys. So not a bad haul. Not a bad haul at all for our first, you know, our first strip in the mines. And real quick, one thing that I know I want to do is I want to start making use of this andesite, diorite, and granite. Granite? Diorite? I don't know. Basically... Oh, we don't have slabs of this yet. That's okay. That's fine. So we'll throw polished granite down like that. And, maybe use diorite for the walls? Let's see what that looks like. Maybe we could throw andesites in between? Maybe? Maybe? Yeah, I think maybe. So, me and my zombie friend behind me would like to say, that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed the making of our strip mines here. They will pave the way to us finding a mine shaft, which means we are just that much closer to finding cobwebs. Thank you so much for watching. I have been your host, KC Fly, and I will see you in the future. Bye.